Good morning. It is early in the morning for Monday morning. Take a moment to address some things that I was conversing with God about in observation. And one of the things that I noticed that is taking place in the Black culture amongst the people is that of therapy abuse and psychological abuse done by those who hold positions in the psychology field. If you are a Black person, especially a young adult, and your parents may have properties or have finances or some type of stock or what have you, and you have been going to therapy, and your therapist has somehow convinced you that your parents are just the worst and that they have done so wrong to you, but at the same time, they're coercing you to also go and try to exploit and get said properties from under your parents or commit them to a nursing home or to a facility of some sort to take over ownership so that they can exploit then from you the finances of your parents' hard work or what have you. This is being done, and it's also being, and the sad part that is being done is that the enemy is not without, it's the enemy within. Those of a melanated skin tone that look like you, that pretend like they have your best interests at heart, but the whole scam and scheme of it all with them in their professions is to exploit those who they feel like does not fit their standard or their narrative of belonging to their sect of a group of people sociably, or as they would say, aesthetically. And in that, they will convince like a majority of the young people to bring an end of obsolescence to their parents or disregard their parents. I urge you to go to prayer. I urge you to go and pray and seek God for counsel for better therapists. Therapy abuse is something that many people overlook and don't know that they're being abused. They will also plant seeds of abuse in your head and distort and place illusions in your mind in regards and twist up things that you have confided in them to make you feel like your parent have done something of the ultimate. I'm not saying some parents haven't done some things, but one of the things is that in that field, in this part of the medical field, you're supposed to provide a solution, a healthy solution. A lot of therapists also temper around in the field of social work, which is not the same thing when they begin to cause families to be irreconcilable and pass judgment prematurely without all the facts. And then they also use the form of abuse, of force, of coercion, of threats, because some of them have family members at your local or in the police department. Some of them have a connection with people in the judicial system. So they oftentimes will threaten a person with incarceration or being put away into a psych ward. I tell you this because this is nothing new that has been happening, especially here in Florida, because I grew up watching them do the same tactic to my mother. And when I was a little girl and learning life skills and everything, the MO and strategy that they use has not changed. They just changed players that's doing it now. And they train up more and more young people to go into the field of psychology because this is a quick get rich scheme. I watched them take my mother, who was a woman that was very prominent and respected by many of our races and ethnicities, and because she helped a lot of people and knew a lot of things and had a lot of connections. And I watched them use family members to strip and rob my mother of all finances, of everything. And then they turned around and convinced my grandmother to put my mother away into a Florida psychiatric hospital. Until my mom, she felt like she didn't have no one to stand with her, and she just in that third stage that they put you in, where a person going through a major depression and give in and throw in the towel, they got her there. She had fought as long as she could fight, but when she began to see that her own siblings and her own mom was not there to support her, and she was the major key supporter for the entire family. And many cousins can attest to this. They end up labeling her as crazy, but then everything took a downfall and everybody fell because the key foundation, which was her, and the one that helped everyone to get the things that they have, their houses, their family, their children, and everything, even with children that came out of category foster home, a lot of people end up taking a downfall when they did that to rally against my mom. So, and knowing that I was 10 years old and learned to drive and used to drive her to her psychiatric appointments with the therapist, what they call now when they break it down today, and I'm just learning the rapist when you break it down into syllables. It was actually that, because in a many of ways, if you are a person that can help other people to become free thinkers of their mind, then you are a threat to the psychological practice of which they do, especially in that of the Black culture, because you are bound, you're in prison, you're enslaved, and you do not think for yourself. And this is something that's often discussed in their big session meetings that they have behind closed doors, that they do not say to your everyday Black people in society. But a part of their social theory of studying of Black culture is that you can't think for yourself. So when you are a free thinker, you are a threat, because you might show others how to become free and think for themselves. And also, you are a target. If you have any type of assets, they're coming because they see it as a way to gain access to free monies rather than having to get paid for their field of profession. But the other thing is that when you look at the multitude of people that are homeless on the streets, and you talk with them, and you'll learn that they went to therapy and therapy failed them, because part of therapy, what I learned from being in a Zoom conference with the White House a few years back during the time we was doing ERAP, is that even those people that are mental health, your therapist is responsible for connecting with housing to get you proper housing. You shouldn't even be on the streets without a proper place to stay. They're supposed to connect with someone if they even doing therapy with you and you have a substance abuse. They're supposed to connect and get you into that center or that place to recover. But yet again, like I say, they're not practicing to get you well and to get you better. It's all about just money, which is part of contradictory and hypocrisy for them, because any field of medicine that you go into and you take a Hippocratic oath, your oath is towards healing and making well. But not today. This world is so wicked. And many other people that are going into professional fields that's supposed to be providing a service for the citizens in society, it's all about money. It's so corrupted today. So I say to young people and those that like to run around and say, oh, you need to go to therapy, this and that. You need to really go pray. Pray about your therapist. Pray about that correctional officer. Pray about that police officer that's on that police force that's corruptive. Pray about those that's working in the clerk of courts that are also engaged in that, because everybody's profiting and it's connected. All you got to do is follow the trail, and one gonna link to the next. It's real. It's happening. I know. And I do not. A lot of people say if you don't make your children be accountable. I don't fault my children. What I do fault is myself for thinking that people are honest and integral, because I was never one to engage with young people when mentoring them or either teaching them in Sunday school and whatever, plant lies or seeds in their heads to look at their parent or any other person in a immoral way or a bad way, or try to scam and scheme, or even I wasn't one of those adults that pried into people's business that I'm trying to get into your finances. But what I have learned is that there are a lot of people that are in the clergy of the body of Christ that practice psychology, and it's about money. It is not about the people, and it's about controlling and manipulating the minds of the young people. And that is why you see so much of the discord within a culture over people that wants to grow forward, but they're challenged by that, because the psychological method that they're using And those that are behind the scene pulling the strings like the puppet master, you won't never see them. But yeah, that's why you guys stay divided. That's why you guys stay estranged with your parents. And when push come to shove, they are really not there being supportive, especially if you don't have no money to give to them. They will treat you like a slave themselves, and they will look just like you. So to truly be free, you have to learn how to think for yourself. You have to learn how to go in prayer. You have to ask God to reveal and show you, because they will have you out here cursing and being angry at your mama, have you confused in your mind. And the other thing that they do is they plant relationships on you. They'll have you in an abusive relationship with someone that they know is abusive, but because that person works along with them, they'll coerce and convince you that that's the relationship you need to stay in, because they profit off it on the back end. They are the third party in your relationship. And so you'll find yourself being overwhelmed. You'll find yourself filled with anxiety. You'll find yourself not wanting to be in a relationship, but you're being coerced and manipulated to be in that relationship, and they accept that person because they're telling you, oh, you need to do this. And the sad part is that a lot of them is of the Caribbean ethnicity that is doing this. That's the part that's sad. That's the part that's deplorable. And yet they are the main ones that will tell you that you don't listen to your parent, this and that. But yet you've yet to see them with their parent. Or if you was to study their culture and background to see how they engage with their parents, it's going to be a no for me. Yeah. It's going to be a no. They can't give you testimony about with their parents. And then if you go and dig enough, you'll find out it's enough for me. It's enough for me. Yeah. So yeah, they're disparting and tearing up families. They're also tearing up marriages. And they're playing matchmaker. I can tell you of plenty testimony. So yeah, it's a false narrative. It's a pyramid scheme. But the people that profit off it in the end is them. They're going to end up with all your monies, with all your assets. I can tell you for a fact, when going with one of my children into meeting the person that they was interested in, and overheard a senior person of their family. And when she thought she whispered, the first thing was about money. But I politely smiled, and I didn't hold the conversation too long. But yeah, be mindful. It's about money. But I am here to tell you that you're not above the law. I don't care who you is. And it's coming. You can be in the clerk of courts. You can be a judge. You can be on OPD with a full-fledged uniform. You are not above the law. Not God's law and not the law of the land.